Good morning to all, Cool family. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on everything about Real Barcelona. In this video, we have some very important news about our beloved club. Let's start with the first piece of news. The outcome regarding Pablo Torre is now an almost accepted reality in the halls of Camp Nou. For months, there has been a certain distance between the young Cantabrian and the coaching staff, and now, the decision to seek a definitive resolution seems to have been made. As a Cool, I understand and support this decision, not because his talent is in question. Far from it, but because, realistically, there are times when it's necessary to prioritize the collective good over sentimental attachment to a promise that hasn't materialized. Pablo is a technical player with a spark in the final pass and a creative vision that is not common in today's football. But for one reason or another, he hasn't managed to make that click that separates good footballers from the indispensable ones, and at Barça, this is absolutely crucial. What he has been offered is time, sporadic opportunities, and an environment that respects young players, yet he has never managed to solidify his place. His loan did not propel him to the next level, and his return to the team did not produce that "here I am" effect that is expected from a player who wants to earn his spot. When thinking about the profile the club needs to move forward, grow, and remain competitive both nationally and in Europe, we must consider footballers who can make a difference from the first moment. Pablo, although promising, has not yet shown himself to be that decisive player. It's not enough to have quality in your feet. You need personality, consistency, impact, and an elite mentality. That said, it's not about pointing fingers at the player either. His commitment has always been correct, his attitude professional, and his profile is one that many teams appreciate. That's why his departure can be positive for both parties. For Barça, as it frees up space and resources to strengthen key positions, and for him, as he can find an environment where the level of demand better matches his maturation pace. Let's not forget that there are careers that require alternative paths to achieve success. Some players achieve it from the first moment in a big club, but others must build their legacy step by step in teams with less pressure, a margin for error, and where the media focus is not so overwhelming. The important thing now is to close this chapter with elegance. The club must take care of its image, not only externally but also internally, showing that the player is respected, that the door is open to him without grudge or reproach, with an outstretched hand and with a conviction that this decision is made out of responsibility and future vision. If the operation includes a buyback clause or some type of preferential right on future sales, all the better. Thus, the club covers itself against a possible explosive growth of Torre in another environment. But most importantly, from now on, the institution begins to think about players who fit perfectly into the game model and the tactical demands of the new project. From a Cool perspective, I think this type of decision reflects maturity. The times when we accumulated promises without a defined direction are over. Now, it's about building a solid, efficient, and realistic block. Of course, it hurts to let go of potential players, especially if they arrived with high expectations, but an entity like ours cannot afford to cling to what could have been. We must act on what is, what we see on the field, what each one brings in the present. Pablo Torre has not become indispensable, and therefore his departure is natural and logical. I also think it's timely to open this debate to Cool fans. What do you think? Do you think we are too harsh in letting him go? Do you think he should have been given one more season to prove his worth? Or do you agree that his time is up and it's time to make way for other, more consistent profiles better suited to the pace demanded by the first team? This type of decision always generates a division of opinions, but the important thing is to debate it with respect, recognizing the player's good work, but also accepting that there comes a time when you must move forward without looking back. We must also not fall into the mistake of thinking that every young player must be indisputable or become a star. Some are destined to have a sporadic role, others simply pass through, and others triumph in different scenarios. The important thing for us is that the club has a clear roadmap and that each move responds to a plan, not impulses. If Pablo is not part of the coaching staff's plans, there is nothing to force, and if his entourage also sees that it is preferable to seek new horizons, then everything fits. We must let go with intelligence. Furthermore, this decision sends a clear message to the rest of the team and the footballing environment. At Barça, we value performance, not expectations. The badge is heavy, and only those who are ready to carry it every week, in every competition, remain. It's a message of demand, but also of respect for the jersey and the club's history. The project needs accomplished players, not just promising names. For all these reasons, I insist, I see it as positive that Pablo Torre seeks another destination. He can still have a great career if he finds the right place. The club, for its part, must continue firmly in its policy of building a compact team, with defined roles and no empty spaces occupied by names that do not solidify. It is better to let go in time than to regret not having made a decision in time. The best is yet to come for the club and for him, and this future, at least for now, is no longer connected. And you, the Cules, do you think this is the right time for Pablo Torre to say goodbye? Would you have liked the club to include control or preference clauses on his future, or do you prefer that this chapter closes without ties? The voice of the supporters is always important, and in decisions like this, where expectations, emotions, and planning are mixed, the debate is more alive than ever. The second piece of news concerns an important decision within our club. The recent transfer of Joan Garcia for €25 million has sparked a clear realization within the club environment. The transition in goal is underway, and this transition involves the departure of the veteran goalkeeper. While the management publicly defends healthy competition, internally, it is already perceived that his time at Camp Nou is coming to an end. The incorporation of Joan Garcia is not a coincidence but a thoughtful decision, betting on a young goalkeeper with good ball distribution, energetic in duels, and with medium-term potential. However, this decision leads to an inevitable consequence. Ter Stegen, who has been a fundamental pillar of past successes, must find a resolution, with the Premier League appearing as the most probable destination, with Manchester United and Chelsea positioning themselves as possible destinations. The signals are clear at the headquarters. There has been a tense analysis of the wage bill, the need for a succession plan, and the urgency to generate space for new investments. The arrival of an experienced goalkeeper with good positional reading and abilities to strengthen the build-up from the back has been seen as an opportunity not to be missed. Joan Garcia fits this profile, but his arrival conditions the future of Ter Stegen. Talks of his farewell began almost as soon as the hiring of his replacement was announced. The news comes at a delicate time. He has been a symbol of solidity in goal for years. His trajectory at Camp Nou is filled with decisive performances, key saves, quiet leadership, and composure under pressure. He has been a reference even in the worst moments, the silent savior of a defense that, in its best years, performed with solidity. His stature as a giant in goal has often made the difference between defeat and a draw, or between a draw and a title. That's why seeing his farewell hastened without a planned and effective send-off generates dismay. He is seen as a goalkeeper who deserved to enjoy a final quiet season, with recognition and prominence, before leaving through the big door. Instead, the decision seemed swift, driven by an economic necessity that prioritizes financial balance but ignores the deep emotional value that is lost. In England, he is already being admired. Manchester United, seeking reliability in goal after several unstable years, sees Ter Stegen as a solution. His resume, his Champions League matches, his one-on-one duels with elite attackers, 0 errors in critical moments, make him a safe bet, a leader in goal who would inspire a defense in reconstruction. Chelsea, on the other hand, has been categorical. Maresca and his staff consider it a priority to strengthen the goalkeeper position with an experienced, proven, and solid player who accompanies the new project. In this context, the German's departure is headed to England. The club, for its part, does not deny the intention. Financial management forces the freeing up of salary to make transfers in other areas, such as midfield or defense, which requires sacrifices. The generational transition is already underway. Joan Garcia has the profile, the ability, and the margin for improvement, but what is missing is sensitivity. The debate is not only numerical but also emotional. Can you replace a world-class goalkeeper with someone still in the development phase without affecting competitiveness? Or should we give one more year of adaptation and say goodbye with dignity to someone who has given so much? The goalkeeper position is not the same when the goalkeeper lacks the aura that experience provides. Rotations are managed better when there is a leader to guide the next. Joan Garcia, no matter how good a goalkeeper he is, faces natural resistance. He will be compared to his predecessor. If Ter Stegen leaves abruptly, without a smooth transition, the team and the supporters could suffer from uncertainty when the emotional security and personality he always offered are altered. Supporters have already reacted on social media and forums. They imagine a sober but emotional farewell, a tribute match, a face in the upper stands, a summary of epic saves. But there are also those who link his departure to a management model where the youth academy and established figures give way. He was a symbol of the team, not a cost to cut, says one. Another prefers a more moderate sale and to retain the legacy for a few more months. Questions arise. Has the timing been taken care of? Has the club's narrative of taking care of its own until the end been respected? Or has a quick sacrifice been chosen without contemplation? Furthermore, there is the sporting dilemma. If the first year after his departure arrives with errors in goal, those responsible could find themselves without room for criticism. The goalkeeper position demands security and continuity, and this will depend on how this change is managed so that the hierarchy is not disrupted. Joan Garcia has attributes, but none embody the knowledge of the environment, the emotional weight, and the defensive consistency that his predecessor offered. Beyond the goalkeeper position itself, there is the message being sent. Selling a symbol without farewell, without a period of coexistence with his successor, suggests that identity is more attached to results than to people. Thus, the club's values, such as gratitude, the memory of a trajectory of service, and consideration for the legacy, are tarnished by the economic hierarchy. The impact goes beyond the field. Added are mistrust, dismay, a sense of emotional rupture. The dilemma today is clear: efficiency or sentiment, necessity or gratitude. The club has chosen the first option. Is this a strategic mistake? Is it too soon to sacrifice a celebrated pillar when his successor is not fully ready? We could wait a few more months and greet the transition with more humanity. Supporters must raise their voices, because this is not just a simple transfer, but the conversion of an era. The goalkeeper who has been a guarantee and stability is living his final moments, and behind this, there are major debates. What club do we want to belong to? A club that hastily liquidates its symbols, or a club that accompanies them until the end? Copper cuts or an emotional sacrament? You, Kuhl, where do you stand? The ball continues to roll, but before us lies a decision that goes beyond football, which is emotional, social, and structural, and has no turning back. You can see it as a necessity of planning or as a hasty farewell to a bulwark. The goalkeeper has been a temple in goal. Today, he raises the curtain to his final act. Let's not let the Kuhl argument disappear without its own voice, without shared reflection, because every decision builds our own history, and today, the goalkeeper position asks us not to forget. The third piece of news concerns a potential surprise in our club. Barcelona's interest in Juanlu Sanchez is no surprise. 4 months, we have been closely following the progress of the young Spanish fullback, and now, in the midst of rebuilding a team with projection, energy, and a hunger for success, his name is gaining strength as one of the most serious options for the sporting management. Juanlu represents more than just a market opportunity. He is a chance to bring in a profile that can be developed over the long term, molded within a playing system that demands intelligence, defensive commitment, and offensive ambition. He is a modern footballer, one of those who are hard to come by, and moreover, he has shown that he is ready to make the leap into an environment of maximum demand. At the club, his maturity despite his youth is highly appreciated. It is not easy to see a fullback so young naturally handling complex phases of play, knowing when to push forward, when to hold position, how to triangulate, how to offer a passing line, how to manage the tempo without rushing. Juanlu has already shown in the top division that he knows how to compete, that he can maintain concentration for 90 minutes, and that his involvement does not wane, even if the team goes through tough moments. This capacity for mental resilience, tactical discipline, and positional awareness is not common in players of his age, and that is why, from the club's offices, he has been placed on the list of priority footballers to strengthen a position that needs renewal, dynamism, and a profile clearly oriented towards the long term. The fact that Sevilla has valued him at €20 million is another clear indicator of his market value. We are not talking about a bargain or a last-minute opportunity, but about a player with a market, suitors in other countries, and an evident margin for growth. The price, in this case, is not a whim but a logical consequence of the current context. From the Catalan club, it is considered that paying this amount for a young national player with league experience and such a margin for development is a strategic investment, not a wasteful expense. Especially when we are talking about a position as delicate as that of a fullback, where every action has immediate consequences and a complete profile is needed, both in attack and defense. But beyond the technical and economic aspects, what is most convincing is his attitude. Juanlu has that competitive energy that we appreciate so much in our philosophy. He is not a complacent, passive, or limited player. He is someone who wants to grow, who wants challenges, who gives his all in every action, and that, in a team that needs new leaders, new references that connect with the soul of the club, is worth its weight in gold. It is not enough to have quality. You need to have the mentality, the hunger, and he has it. He has shown it in every match, in every intervention, every time he has pushed up the flank as if the match depended on it. From my point of view as a Kuhl, I think this would be a more than successful transfer, not only for what he can offer from day one but also for what he can become in 2, 3, or 4 seasons. He is a profile that fits perfectly into the playing idea that we want to recover and consolidate. One that builds from the back, seeks width with the fullbacks, and needs fullbacks who are also midfielders in possession and wingers in the offensive phase. Juanlu has this tactical elasticity. He does not need to be retrained or reconverted. He arrives already with these notions incorporated, which greatly facilitates his integration into the system. Additionally, the fact that he is Spanish and young adds a symbolic value that should not be overlooked. We are not talking about an established star arriving with diva airs, but a young man who sees in this possible leap to Camp Nou an opportunity of a lifetime. And when a player arrives with this mentality, he gives his all, he lives it, he breathes it. He does not think about his next club. He thinks about leaving a mark, and that, in a team in transition, is an invaluable asset. The only thing missing to finalize this operation is the willingness of all parties. Sevilla knows it has a valuable player, but it also knows it needs liquidity and that the offer could be good for both parties. The Blaugrana club has clearly indicated that it cannot let the opportunity to sign a national talent with potential slip away, and the player, according to all indications, would be delighted to wear our colors. There do not seem to be insurmountable obstacles, only details to fine-tune with intelligence and without haste. But in general, there are plenty of reasons to bet on this transfer and do so with determination. Now, I would like to open the debate to the supporters. What do you think, Kuhls? Do you think Juanlu can be an important piece in the evolution of the team? Do you think it is wise to invest 20 million in a promising fullback, or would you prefer to wait for another profile? Do you think it is better to bet on young players from the National League rather than looking abroad? Do you place more value on commitment, hard work, and potential than on immediate experience? Every opinion counts, because the club is all of us. Personally, the idea of seeing him go up and down the flank at Camp Nou, seeing him grow in our system, celebrating his assists, his defensive clearances, his connections with the midfielders, excites me. I see in him a new energy, a necessary renewal, a contagious joy, and I believe that if we give him the right environment, he can be one of those players who mark an era without necessarily making the headlines every day. Juanlu Sanchez represents a real opportunity to strengthen with discernment, with a future vision, and with coherence. It is a transfer that does not break the economic balance, does not raise doubts about his tactical integration, and does not bring an excessive risk. It is a smart bet, one of those made when thinking beyond the next season, because building a competitive team is not about gathering names but forming a group with meaning, hunger, quality, and soul. And Juanlu has all of that. That is why, from this Kuhl corner, I strongly support his arrival. And you, what do you think? We supporters are excited about Juanlu.